With Aquaman on the way, I thought I'd dive back into the DCEU's last offering, Justice League. Though this movie may be the true result of way too many cooks in the kitchen, there might be something worth talking about, a layer underneath. So, what did you think of this movie, and are you looking forward to Aquaman?
What's the best thing about planet Earth?
I must ask you a question. Ha! Welcome to Durbania, I'm Durbin, and this is my theological analysis for Justice League. And the true analysis and theme I got out of this movie is push back your release date so at the very least Henry Cavill can shave off his mustache. But no, that's not even theological. My real analysis of this movie is when you have a script written for a two-part movie and you've already begun rolling cameras on said movie, that is not the time to start doubting the vision and trying to recast a new vision and retool everything that was already shot that was made with the vision of fitting in a two-parter. Yeah, this movie's kind of an interesting study in studio versus creative and, I don't know, too many cooks in the kitchen and so many different things. But nonetheless, there is still an interesting concept that plays itself out in this movie. Are you a fan of Justice League? Are you looking forward to Aquaman? Let's have this conversation in the comments.
I see, Mother. I see why you waited to summon me. The Kryptonians' death plunged this timid world into such terror.
The DCEU is an interesting universe because when Justice League opens, it feels like a complete and utter contradiction because the world is absolutely unified in their mourning of Superman and in their loss of Superman. What's contradictory about that is Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman. I mean, especially in Batman vs. Superman, you really see it as Superman is revealed to the world. At the very least, everybody is divided in their thoughts and in their opinions of Superman. Some people absolutely are terrified of him. Some people hate him and hate him because they're afraid of him. And some people love him. Either way, there is the Superman question. Does he mean us good? Does he mean us harm? People are afraid of him. But when he dies at the end of Batman vs. Superman, suddenly everybody has tears in their eyes and they have their candlelit vigil and they're mourning his death. And then it goes even further, just in the opening of Justice League, that the world is now ripe for, the bad guy, Steppenwolf, to come because the world is plunged into such fear and darkness at his death. And on the surface, that feels kind of contradictory until I think you go just a little bit below the surface. Fear is faith. It's just faith working in reverse. If faith is believing in the best, it's believing in God's ability to bless you and lift you up, then fear is belief in something else. It is the belief in something else's ability to hurt you. So fear really is faith. It's just faith working backwards. So as you go through Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman, it seems one way or the other, people's faith was in Superman. Some believing the best of him, and some believing the worst of him.
He has the power to wipe out the entire human race, and if we believe there's even a 1% chance that he is our enemy, we have to take it as an absolute certainty.
One way or the other, people's faith was in him, and it kind of throws this cautionary tale out to me of be careful what you put your faith in. If you put your faith in something that looks powerful but is really finite and changeable, then you shouldn't be surprised that as it changes and has its ups and its downs, then you will be doing the same thing, going up and down and not stable, as that's not stable. I'm not saying Superman is a bad figure. I freaking love Man of Steel, but Man of Steel is all about him trying to find his place in the world. He doesn't even have his feet under him yet. Batman vs. Superman, he finally gets his feet under him, but the whole movie is he's having self-doubt because Lex Luthor is framing him and causing destruction wherever he goes. And he's not looking at this objectively. He himself is looking at this through the eyes of fear, and he's doubting himself. So as he's going through his confusion and his ups and downs, as much as they're trying to make him a messianic figure in these movies, he really is no Messiah. He is super strong and powerful, and he is a good guy, but by no means is he perfect at all whatsoever. And as people are putting their faith in him, then no wonder as he's like rising up and gets his feet under him, maybe people feel confidence. Then when he has self-doubt and he's doubting himself, then, well, no wonder they're doubting him. And now that he's dead and the whole controversy and the Superman question is removed, and all that's left is seeing the good that he did, now, of course, people are in mourning, and, oh my gosh, something that was unkillable and more powerful than anything they could have fathomed is now dead. It's kind of like when we put our hope and money and finances. Money seems like it's incredibly powerful, but 2008 showed us it's also finite. And when we have our hope in that, and when it goes down, we go down. When it comes back up, we come back up. When it goes down again, we go down again. We can have our faith in our careers. Same kind of thing. Our career just feels so good and so powerful until we're laid off, or fired, or the company goes under, and suddenly we're down till we find a new identity and a new career, and the whole thing repeats. It's kind of like this never-ending cycle. If we make our God something that is shakeable, temporary, and finite, no matter how powerful it looks on the outside, we shouldn't be surprised that we are moving and changing and falling and rising and roller coastering with it. And I think that's what's going on with Superman. But now that Superman is dead and he's really down, people are now down because their hope from the faith that they had in him, whether fearing him or believing the best in him, is now dead with it. Something that seemed immortal is now buried underground, and so their hope is dead. Now, in this new realm of fear, in this new realm of darkness that they have found themselves in, it has now opened the door for evil to step in.
Amazons, Atlanteans, each stands and falls alone.
Steppenwolf was chased away by the unity of the planet, allies from the stars, the old gods, and all the tribes of men, all of them uniting in their own league to defeat this evil. But now there's nothing but fear and division. Because of the fear, everybody stands and falls on their own, but they're not united together. So this mother sees as the perfect opportunity to call her son back. And what's interesting to me about this whole picture with Steppenwolf is this unholy trinity. Because you see, the devil is the ultimate copyright infringer. The dude is not original, he is not creative, and he can't do any of his own original stuff. All he can do is look at what God has created, and that is good, and twist it and pervert it. So you have the Holy Trinity, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, distinct yet three in one. So all he can do is copy that, pervert it, and now you have the three mother boxes. That when these three unite and become one, it unleashes a power to remake the Earth in Steppenwolf's image, to make the Earth like his home planet. And that's the weird, crooked thing about Steppenwolf's unity. See, Steppenwolf gets the power of unity more than the people of Earth get the power of unity in this movie. He understands that unity is power, but since he can't create and do anything on his own, all he has is a corrupt perversion of what unity is. So his idea is to turn everybody into his parademons. So people lose their individuality. They lose their uniqueness. They lose what makes them themselves, and they all just kind of become these bland, fear-based parademons that feed off of people's fear, leaving Steppenwolf the one lone guy who is unique and different and the leader, but he's leading a bunch of things that are just a bunch of things. God wants us to be united to him for sure, but as we unite ourselves to God, who is bigger and greater than ourselves, he is the source of ourselves because he made everything. So when we unite to him, we become more ourselves than we ever were before. And when we get united to him and we experience his love, and then we begin to love ourselves and love our neighbor as we love ourselves, we see what true unity is. Not letting our differences and our uniquenesses be a wall that divides, but letting our differences and our uniquenesses be the very thing that creates a powerful body. I mean, look at the eyeball. If my whole body was this eyeball, well, it's not going to be able to eat, so it's going to die of starvation. It can't smell, it can't walk, it can't move, it can't do anything. But it's the fact that I have ears that are totally different and serve a whole different diverse function that I can see and hear. And, I could just go on with this analogy, but you get it. It's everything that is totally different and distinctive with its own personalities and giftings that come together to make this body. So this is what Batman realizes as he's putting the League together. The only thing that's going to turn away this evil dude trying to do a perverted version of unity is people together getting together in a true version of unity and defeating this evil force that way. And what's interesting, and because we have Aquaman coming out here real soon, I'll just dive into the character of Aquaman. He makes the point when he's sitting on the lasso of truth that he hasn't fit in.
I just feel like I never really embraced the sea or the land. I've been a loner my whole life. Being part of something bigger like this.
But now that he's risen above that, and he's united himself with the Justice League, and he's united himself with something that is greater than himself, he's found his true purpose. In other words, he's sort of found his true self and become more himself than he even was when the movie opened. So united in this league, they're able to turn away Steppenwolf one more time and defeat this guy.
You say a word about this, you'll meet every piranha I know.
So to me, that's what I see when I watch Justice League. Be careful what you make your God, and go for the true things and not the gross perverted copy of things. Jesus didn't die by accident and rise from the dead because his disciples said we have to defeat the devil, so let's put him in his spaceship and get the mother box power to raise him from the dead. No, none of that stuff was accidental. Jesus came to earth purposefully. He died purposefully. He rose from the dead purposefully. Everything he did was intentional. It was purposed. It was planned. Jesus is the most stable thing we could ever put our faith in, and he is the same yesterday, today, and forever. So the world can shake and fall, but as long as we remain united to him, we'll become more ourselves than we ever were before. And no matter what shakes around us, we won't be shaking. Like when the Justice League united themselves to a greater purpose, they became more themselves than ever before, and no matter what Steppenwolf threw their way, they were able to defeat the enemy. Are you excited to see Aquaman? Let's talk about that in the comments, and while you're there, hit the subscribe button to become a Durbanian. Hit the bell by the subscribe button so you're notified from my next theological analysis, movie review, ranking video, or anything else I do here. I'm Durbin. Thanks for checking out Durbania.